Here is an overview of the whole season, presenting games and big events in the FC Halifax Town 20-21 season. In the summer, we had to say goodbye to the skipper Matty Brown, who was going to join Yorkshire rivals York City in the National League North. The Shaymen signed many players in the summer, including Jake Hyde from Woking, Luke Smithfield from Wrexham and Kieran Green from York. Now, without further ado, let's move on to the season. Luke Smithfield got his Shaymen career underway, scoring a cool and calm penalty against Dagenham before Jack Earing struck for the second. The Shaymen won 2-0 in the end. The Shaymen then travelled to Stockport and Jack Earing got his second goal of the season against the Stockport keeper.
It was crossed into the box from the left-hand side. It came off the heel of Bennett.
Stockport later equalised through Mark Kitchen.
There's the leveller. Big finish.
Later on in the game, Stockport's Thomas scored a worldie on the edge of the box that you just really had to admire.
Oh, what a goal that is!
The Shaymen lost 2-1 on the road. After the Stockport game, the Shaymen drew 3 in a row, and the only goal came was Jeff King's first ever goal for the club against Yeovil in a 1-1 draw. The Shaymen got 6 points from their opening 5 matches. Now, let's move on to November. Sadly, there was no footage of the FC Halifax Town game versus Wealdstone. Jeff King did get a red card in the opening minute before Danny Parish got his 86th minute goal to give the Wealdstone all 3 points. The Shaymen welcomed Notts County to the Shay. Notts County scored the first goal.
One-on-one, what a goal! His first start for the football club, and Eli Sam is off the mark. He might have been much maligned by some, but that is a quality.
But luckily for the Shaymen, Jamie Allen came to the rescue on the 90th minute. The game finished 1-1 between Notts County and FC Halifax Town. Jamie Allen got the equaliser against Torquay to make it back-to-back goals. But sadly, Torquay capitalised later on in the game. The game finished 1-2 to Torquay. The Shaymen then travelled to Sutton, but for the Halifax fans, sadly, we didn't get to see the game because Sutton's streaming service wasn't working. The Shaymen lost 1-0 in the end, thanks to a Harry Beautyman penalty. In November, the Shaymen only got 1 point in 4 games. The Shaymen really needed to pick up the form if they had any chance of making the playoffs. Jeff King made a huge impact against Barnet, coming back from suspension in a must-win game. Here is the first goal of the match, scored by Jeff King. Later on, Niall Bell, recently who came from Stockport, scored his first goal for the club. With a lovely header. On the 90th minute, Martin Woods got his first goal for the club with a lovely free kick. The Shaymen won 5-2 in the end. The Shaymen later played on BT, but sadly there were no highlights of the game. But I watched the game and all I can tell you was it was a very good performance to give us the 3rd win of the season. This was now 10 goals in 2 games. Despite being 1-0 down at half-time, the Shaymen made an impressive comeback against Aldershot away. Fans were back in the ground. It started with a free kick scored by Jake Hyde. It was a 10-minute spell that really killed it off. The second goal came from Neil Bell, a wonder strike on the edge of the box.
It's a brilliant goal. Brilliant.
And Jake Hyde had the chance to get his second goal of the match from the penalty spot. The Shaymen were looking like they were going to make it 4 wins unbeaten after Martin Woods' early goal, but sadly on the night, Solihull scored 2 worldies, including Mullin's strike, what you can just see on your screens now. It was Christmas, and what better way to celebrate that than a Shaymen masterclass? Jamie Allen got the first, Kieran Green got the second, and then Eastleigh did pull one back, but luckily for the Shaymen, Niall Bell scored a worldie that just sealed the game later on. The Shaymen won 3-1 in the end. It was a Christmas hangover from the Shaymen, a very poor performance, losing 3-1 to Hartlepool. But the main talk about the game was Niall Bell's rash tackle on the Hartlepool man. The Shaymen lost 3-1 in the end. The Shaymen got an impressive 15 points in 7 games. Now we look to January, where we are trying to push for the playoffs. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any highlights on FC Halifax Town versus Altrincham, but I can tell you it was a very good game to watch, and hopefully there should be some highlights in the future if you'd like to go watch there. There were no highlights at the Kings Lynn game either. I suspect this was due to the fog because it was a very foggy day. All I can tell you is the Shaymen played average today and probably deserved a point at least. Lewis Mansell did score for the Shaymen. The Shaymen faced Bromley at Bromley. After going 1-0 down to Michael Cheek's penalty, the Shaymen could feel a little hard done by, but luckily justice was done, with the Shaymen being awarded a second penalty. Jamie Allen then later scored after Luke Summerfield's penalty to make it 2-1. The Shaymen won 2-1 in the end. The Shaymen had to travel to North Wales to face Wrexham. It was a good point but a boring 0-0 draw in the end. In January, the Shaymen got 5 points in 5 games. Some very good performances, but some also very poor performances. Let's see what happened in February. We heard that our main man, Luke Summerfield, was injured. This had a huge effect on the next game against Maidenhead. We lost 3-2 in the end. Sadly, there weren't any highlights, so I'll just show you it on your screen now. After losing to Maidenhead 3-2, the Shaymen didn't have much confidence, but I didn't expect more against bottom of the league Barnet. Although this shot was very good, maybe it should have been prevented.
Richardson and Wordsworth will let fly, and what a goal that is from Anthony Wordsworth!
The Shaymen were 2-0 down against Barnet, but Jeff King did pull one back just before half-time, but sadly it was only a consciential goal for the Shaymen. The Shaymen were on BT against leaders Torquay. I wasn't very confident in this match, but after 15-20 minutes, the Shaymen got their opening goal.
Now, was he caught there? Right on the edge
but then
of the box,
a controversial penalty that might not have even been in the box was awarded to Torquay.
Well, the referee's given it. Well, the big question mark here is to whether it was in the box or not as well. But he has pointed to the spot here.
Here's the highlights.
I'll let you decide that one, Adam.
Thanks.
I think he's just inside, but just. I think the contact, I mean, cuts inside nicely there, no contact there. I think he's just inside the penalty area, but...
To the penalty here.
And guess what? The Torquay man did put it away.
Just crept in. The goalkeeper.
But luckily for the Shaymen, Jack Earing reacted with a great goal. And then Jeff King scored the winning goal to give the Shaymen all 3 points. What a performance on TV. This gave me a lot of confidence for the rest of the season. The Shaymen only played 2 games in February, winning one of them against Torquay. Now we'll look on to March, where the season does start to get really intense. Hartlepool at home was always going to be tough, and thanks to a set piece, Hartlepool took the lead for a short corner. But Kieran Green reacted really well in the second half with a very good set piece. The Shaymen dominated the half, but Wheelstone took the lead somehow on the 30th minute. But in the second half, the Shaymen did react quickly, and Jake Hyde did get his goal. What a lovely cross by Jeff King, by the way. But anyway, I think the talk of the town was Jack Earing's strike on the edge of the box to seal the win for the Shaymen. Notts County away wasn't recorded, but it was a huge shame because the Shaymen played really well. Jake Hyde took the lead, and then out of nowhere, I can't pronounce his name, but the Notts County player scored an absolute brilliant goal. But Tavon Campbell then came on and scored a screamer. This was Tavon Campbell's first and only goal for the club so far. The Shaymen won 2-1 in the end. It was 0-0 against Solihull until Martin Woods scored this cool and calm penalty. But I think the talk of the day was this huge miss from the Solihull man. What a clearance, by the way, by Neil Byrne. The game looked like it was going to be a boring 0-0 between FC Halifax Town and Aldershot, but luckily for us, Jamie Allen came to the rescue late on. The game finished 1-0 to the Shaymen. The Shaymen were trying to make it 5 unbeaten against a strong Eastleigh side, but today just wasn't our day. But then again, we did defend very poorly here. And it could have been prevented, this goal. But a lovely, lovely through ball in the end. The game finished 1-0 to Eastleigh.
Hearing, here's King now. Just teasing Beatsman Milsom. Green, poor first touch, gets a shot away. Breaks kindly for Chadwick. Slots into the bottom corner. Hearing, here's King now.
Against league leaders Sutton, the Shaymen were 2-0 up after 70 minutes. Goals came from Billy Chadwick
away.
And Jack Earing.
Chadwick slots into the bottom corner. And Earing's in on his own and slots it away. Delivers. Beatam's header tipped onto the bar.
But against league leaders grind out results. Coming from 2-0 behind.
Drops here for Eastman!
It was still a very strong point for the Shaymen, and I think we all have to remember that. The Shaymen really excelled in March, playing plenty of football. They gained 14 points in 7 games. Now we look to April to try cement our place in the playoffs. Unfortunately, there were no highlights of the FC Halifax Town game versus Weymouth. Halifax did win in the end though, with goals coming from Jay Hyde, Neil Byrne and Jeff King. The Shaymen travelled to Altrincham, seeing familiar faces in Matty Coslow, but I think what did cast the headlines was Jack Earing's strike. The Shaymen won 1-0 in the end, away from home. A lot of hype was built around the FC Halifax Town game versus Wrexham, but the Shaymen crumbled at home to Wrexham, losing 4-0, being 4-0 down at half-time. It all started with this, and then with this.
Bringing it forward towards the centre circle.
And then this is just basic mistakes.
It's a ball from Nathan Clark. And he's been absolutely done there by Jordan Davis. And that makes it 3-0. Looks for old Mateo, who heads in the air. Senior gets up.
This was just a lovely strike, by the way. But Jordan Davis did get his hat-trick in the end, so well done to Jordan Davis. Highlights were just a little too hard to find in this game. But the Shaymen were 2-0 down after 25 minutes. But just before half-time, Billy Chadwick and Jay Hyde both scored to make it 2-2. Luke Smithfield scored a wonder goal on the 50th minute and Jack Earing finished it off on the 57th. This was presented on BT Sport.
King.
The Shaymen travelled to the Midlands to face Chesterfield, and early on, Jeff King got the first goal of the match.
And Jeff King, the cross comes in again from Woods.
Jay Hyde made it 2 with a lovely header. But Chesterfield did pull one back, but luckily it was only a conscientious goal. The game finished 2-1 to the Shaymen. Bromley won 2-1, including a controversial penalty. The Shaymen scrapped a 1-0 win against Woking in terrible footballing conditions through a Jay Hyde 74th minute goal. In a very evenly matched contest between Halifax and Stockport, it was Stockport who won the game in the end through a Paddy Madden goal. The Shaymen were really unlucky in my opinion. Most recently, the Shaymen faced Yeovil away from home. They won the game 3-0 with a very good performance. Goals coming from Luke Summerfield, Kieran Green and Jake Hyde. So now there's 4 games to go for the Shaymen in the National League, and it all starts tomorrow against Bowen Wood. We need to get at least 2 wins in my opinion to make the playoffs, and hopefully we should do that. Thank you to everyone that has watched today's video. I do really appreciate it. Please leave a like and possibly a sub, because it did take me a very long time to do. Hopefully the Shaymen can get a win tomorrow, and hopefully this should be out by tonight. Thank you.
Jamie Vardy, Lee Gregory, Jeffrey Horsfield, Paul Hendry, Jamie Patterson, Bobby Davison, Bob Sutter, Billy Lee Richardson, Ernest Dixon and Phil Brown, George Mullall and Alex Sow. And we're all on our way, but if all fell to our beloved Shay, we're heading down to London town, filled with hope and tears of pride, to make our mark beneath the arch, with glory shone around upon FC Halifax town. Shaymen! Shaymen! Bet you would all like to be a Halifax town fan like me, putting paid to historic misery and rocking up at Wembley. Through good times, bad times, highs and lows, re-election crisis threats to close. I never thought I'd see this day, to walk down Wembley Way, a Shaymen on Wembley Way. And we're all